This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Hey everyone, it is me. We are here. Joseph is here too. Say hi, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Boom, boom, boom. We're recording.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
I am recording this on the computer now.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Boom. All right. It says it's recording. Boom, 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 boom. I am apparently recording.
The entire bottle of control. They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow. Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado.
Cheers to you, brother.
Get shit on.
Because the system has to collapse before that.
My corona. Cheers. I feel much better now.
Cheers.
Wow, that was heavy. Thanks.
Boom. Welcome to Blockchain and Booze number 154. Yeah, I like that. That was a good sound. That's perfectly timed. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
So I'm excited for tonight. One of my favorite topics, and I know we've kind of hit some of these before, and some of you in the chat know interoperability. It's gonna be great because I think that we have just the right mix of super nerds like me and cool people like the rest of the people on this screen to get into this topic and have some fun. But before we begin, I always need to remember to thank Lunar Crush for streaming this. Thank Blockchain Radio for syndicating it and restreaming it also and doing all that fun stuff. And for anyone who is watching on one of those streams or on YouTube or on LinkedIn or wherever, go to blockchainbooze.io. It'll redirect you to the DGH events website. So if you haven't ever registered there, you'll have to register real quick. But if you want, you can go back there. And when we are done in about 55 minutes or so, you'll be able to turn on your camera or not and talk to the rest of the community and hang out and have a good time. And what's really cool about that is I've got to meet so many amazing people over the years. Like I said, we're at 154. That's 2 away. Wait, there's 52 weeks in a year. Yeah, 52 weeks times 3, 156. That is 2 away from 3 full years of doing this, which is kind of mind-blowing, kind of sad and insane because we started this during the first quarantine. But I absolutely love it. And I've got to meet so many amazing entrepreneurs. We've invested in companies who were created by people who met each other in the chats. So come and hang out, meet each other. And it's a great time. I almost said, because I said meet each other, there is a album by a really awesome hip hop band called Ugly Duckling called Taste the Secret. And the whole album is this weird ass concept album about a bunch of people who work at a place called Meat Shake. And they invented a fake restaurant and a website for a fake restaurant. I'm telling you, this is like 15 years ago when they did this, or 20 years ago. So it was, yes, David, I think we should create some kind of graduate certificate for people who attended Blockchain and Booze for 3 years. This is longer than most people spend at a school. But when I said meet something a second ago, I almost said have a meaty good time, because they say that on that album. But check out that album. It's called Taste the Secret. It's a band that's no longer
Alon. Did they ever play with Death from Above 1979?
So good. Start from beginning to end and listen to the whole album. It starts with a song called opening act, which is just so awesome because it's just making fun of themselves for being the opening act at so many shows and things, and it's just awesome. But I got to see them live like 20 years ago, and it was freaking awesome. A great band.
Who'd they play with?
Well, we're having a meaty good time together. I'm excited. We've got Ken from Wire, Grayson from Dragon Spawn, Kevin from Stable Tech, and Greg from Rivet. And we are all, Scott, talking about Guar in the chat. I've seen Guar live too. I'm not the hugest fan of Guar, but when you say, oh, Meat Sandwich, there's a song called Meat Sandwich by Guar, and it's ridiculous. Watch the music video for anyone who wants to have their mind blown at something kind of offensive but kind of funny. But I'm excited because this whole crew is about interoperability. I'm gonna hide myself from looking at the chat for a minute because my ADD will not allow me to continue this sentence without the distraction. And so, I'm really excited about interoperability. Greg and I talk about it in the Rivet sense because Rivet powers our PCs and the technology behind a lot of products that are built on Ethereum. And now there is not just Ethereum and Tezos and the other blockchains that we always talk about. There's all the EVM chains, all the layer 2s, all the side chains. What's a layer 2? What's a side chain? Are they different things? I'm always asking people smarter than me these questions, and Greg is one of those people. Kevin is the sort of master of Tezos, and I'm always constantly asking him Tezos questions. And he's
don't call me that. They're gonna
I'm gonna piss off 90% of Tezos community. Like, fucking you.
It's like I say nothing, but somebody else says that, and then someone's like, "Who does he think he is? Who
does he think he is? He called himself the master of Tezos." Ugh. Yeah, little known fact: Kevin actually spent some time as the CEO of Tezos. I'm just joking. I'm joking because there are so many people. I've seen interviews where like Kathleen Brightman or Arthur Brightman, they're some of the founders of Tezos, where the like on CNN or Fox Business or wherever they happen to be, they call them the CEO of that blockchain, and obviously the blockchain doesn't have a CEO, and like they only get, if you're ever on one of those shows, you have no time to actually respond. You have no actual time. They're like trying to just roll through everything and get like little sound bites and like 3-word answers. So they can't really correct them in that moment. And then the whole community goes nuts. Like, I can't believe you allowed CNN to call you the CEO. And it's like,
yeah.
Like, so that's why I made that joke.
Because then it's like, but if you Googled certain things, like, all it takes is like somebody writing an article where they say that, and which could be anywhere in the world, and you have no idea. It doesn't always come up on like a, some Google like trending alert for like, your name appearing. So like these researchers or whatever passes for that at different shows and things, like they will just Google the person. And if they see, oh, such and such CEO, who are they to question? It's like, well, they should know better. Fortune magazine had it for like years. It wasn't. So not to rain down on what was it? I think it was it CNN or CNBC or one of those.
I don't remember. It's happened on all of them to some.
But yeah, but the idea is that there's no CEO of Tezos because Tezos is a technology. It's like saying a CEO of Bitcoin.
Right, or email.
So yeah, just so people.
I feel like I've met the CEO of Bitcoin a few times, but. I always tell whenever somebody not in the space asks me about something related to Bitcoin that's really weird or kind of like a obscure question and a weird thing, my automated response is like, "Ooh, next time I talk to the CEO, I'm going to let them know that's a really great idea," and see if they have a weird reaction. And sometimes they're just like, "Oh, that's cool," and then I'm like, there's two things there. One, obviously the world isn't educated enough on the topic. And then two, like this person thinks I'm that much of a badass, or like if there was a CEO of Bitcoin, like this multi-billion-dollar, thing, I'm just like buddies with the CEO, no big deal. It's like, I'll call up Bezos and we'll chat about your idea for Amazon. It also comes from like founders. It makes me feel good about myself.
Like we tend to think that the word founder is just probably going to be followed by the word CEO, and then like in everybody's description. So when you see like co-founder. It's like, yeah, the Brightmans founded Tezos, but that's very different from like, it's not a company. You could found a lot of things. Doesn't mean they have like, that's how it works. And then so some people are like, oh, well, the foundation. It's like, she's not even on the foundation. What are you talking about?
It's really funny to me too, because like the original corporate positions were just president, treasurer, and secretary, right? Like those are the only ones that have any legal meaning whatsoever, and everything else is just kind of like a vanity title.
Well, Greg's bringing now his legal background into the mix, but before we jump in, because I don't want to hit. I feel like we had a record-breaking moment with Adam Draper a few weeks ago when we were like 45 minutes in, and he said, "Wait, let me finish my introduction." So let's not do that again today. Although we're 15 minutes in, so that's kind of awesome. But let's go down. I was going to mention that the Wire Network is building some interoperable things, but I think it'd be better if each person does a quick intro to themselves. I'm especially excited because this is Ken and Grayson's first time on Blockchain and Booze. So let's give them some time right at the top to introduce themselves, of course. Ken, why don't you start? We'll do a little circle around.
Yeah, sure. Ken DiCross, founder of Wire Network. We are an next generation L1 platform, but we've also built some core infrastructure that is chain agnostic that we're going to be rolling out here in the next few months. One of the biggest ones is our UPAP, Universal Polymorphic Address Protocol, and that is going to allow all blockchains, L1s and L2s, to unite. And so we can have all assets from all chains interacting with each other, being able to create universal NFT marketplaces, universal wallets, universal swaps, and even universal exchanges. So that is something that's going to be an SDK that everyone is going to be able to, inject into their protocol, no matter what blockchain they utilize. It's going to work very well with Wire's blockchain, with our entire tech stack, but that's something that we want to have for the entire blockchain space. We look at it kind of how people utilize Chainlink or Filecoin. It enhances the entire space, and everyone utilizes that. It's going to be the same thing with UPAP, and we also have another core infrastructure is going to be a universal Web3 registration, like a single sign-on, and that's also going to be chain agnostic. And the differentiator there is kind of what you see with the ERC 4337. Where it has a trustless account recovery tool up until you want to take full ownership, until you remove that you kind of forgot password type functionality, which you can at any time. But we educate people inside of the wallet as they are gaining, let's say, assets or just NFTs in general. As you are getting value in that account, we're pinging you to educate yourself on how to take that full, custody, remove that mechanism. It is non-custodial all the way through, but obviously we want everyone to take, extract their keys at some point and take, full ownership.
So it's non-custodial, but you guys have by default some kind of access to help them unlock it if they lose access, but they can remove that basically, like it's like I'm trying to think of
training wheels.
Well, nowadays, training wheels is a good one. But nowadays, like cars, for example, you can give and revoke access to somebody, if your phone is the access key kind of thing, right? Or
sort of like the learn to drive DMV car that they take you out in, where the passenger has a steering wheel, but you can tell them when to get out.
Yeah, no, Wire Network has no access. It's inside of a smart contract, so it's trustless, non-custodial. We couldn't do anything if we wanted to.
So kind of like a key split type of deal then. Okay, cool. That's neat.
So we just wanted to, the goal is, since we're talking about, it's just not interoperability. It's how do you get the world into this little pond that we're all in, and you have to do it with the red carpet. The same way that they have Web 2 workflows, we have to mimic those Web 2 workflows and just pardon my language, power the shit out of it on the back end with blockchain, but have them not even see that. Like, so, with the registration, it's just going to be username, email, password. Right. The username is actually a name service. And then the name service is the foundation for our UPAP protocol. So it all just keeps waterfalling down into a very nice user experience for if you're highly advanced or if you're brand new in the space. It's going to work for both parties.
I'm really glad that you guys included an educational component, because I think that, we need to mimic those workflows to get people onboarded, right? But we run the risk of recreating the same problems if we don't also teach them why it shouldn't be that way and why you should take more secure control over your own things. So that's super cool.
Yeah, I like the option too, because I think there's certain people who just don't care and don't want the full custody control thing themselves. But I think educating people, on the whole thing is really important. Grayson, tell us more about what you're working on before we keep diving down this path.
Yeah, no worries.
And also give us your background. What brought you here?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a former professional athlete, so I played professional tennis growing up my whole life. I was fortunate enough to be ranked number 1 in the country as a junior tennis player. So because of that, I was homeschooled. So I spent my entire childhood either on the tennis court or on my computer. So I did online school. So that led me into the world of MMORPGs, specifically RuneScape. So I kind of fell in love with gaming. It was kind of my own little competitive world as well. It taught me a form of tokenomics as a kid. I kind of say that RuneScape kind of gave me exposure to one of the first OG digital economies. So that being kind of RuneScape Gold was the crypto of the game. I kind of got to see how people interacted with this currency, this digital currency, and kind of how supply and demand fluctuated, as well as the items, NFTs, right, within the game, and the ecosystem kind of evolved over 15 years. I mean, I still play it today every once in a while just to check in. So it's pretty interesting. I got into the space actually selling RuneScape Gold in 2017. So I actually sold it. It was like not allowed, right? I had to go on like some sketchy website and trade some random guy my gold first. And then he's like, yeah, you're going to get this Bitcoin. Go and create an account on this website, Binance. Yeah. So basically this is your wallet, like copy and paste me your address. And I was like, what is this? I was like, okay, this is like crypto, like, but it makes sense.
I remember, what's funny is I literally have had multiple conversations with folks who are doing either exactly what you're doing or were doing something in the gaming space, right? Who were doing something that was not illegal, but also against the terms of service for PayPal.
Exactly.
So PayPal, which was up until, I think people were like, we take things really, really for granted now, right? Because there's so many options and so many mechanisms. But as far back, so when in 2008, I started a company, but it was kind of like on the side while I was working my day job. And in 2012 or so, I quit my day job to do it full time. But sometime around 2012, maybe it was before I quit my day job, maybe it wasn't, but sometime around 2012, PayPal launched a thing called PayPal X, which was a thing called adaptive payments, which was basically the precursor to Stripe. Before that, there was no way to take a payment on the internet that would split a payment. So if somebody wanted to go like, oh, I want to give Kevin 5% of this transaction, or I'm on a crowdfunding website, this was the use case we had, we want to give the platform 3% or 5%, and then 95% goes to the person, or I want to hold a payment in escrow until something else goes, and then trigger refund payment or cancel payment, and then refund the person. None of those features were available on the internet. We're talking about 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, you can't do 99% of the use cases of payments on the internet that you do today. And then the only one that was somewhat usable for the average person that wasn't really super hyper technical was PayPal. And it was still very, very binary. You could do a payment, payment.
And it required all the setup, right?
Everything was against their terms of service. And so I meet people in the crypto space every single day that the reason they got into crypto was because sometime between about 10 years ago and 5 years ago, when everyone was still using PayPal for almost every transaction on the internet, when you're talking about consumer to consumer, they just weren't allowed by PayPal to do it. And if they did do it on PayPal, they had to lie about what the use of funds were for and things like that.
And I
so
actually have
that's pretty radical. That's how you got into crypto.
Thank you for providing the service you provided me is always the note that I would include, so that nobody thought it was a product when I was selling, because Grayson, I can definitely empathize with the RuneScape because I was on the pre-nerf Star Wars Galaxy.
Okay, nice.
And that was a similar game. Like everybody wanted to buy the long range sniper rifle that happened before they nerfed it because they didn't actually change the nerfed items or whatever. And the way to sell them was outside of the game's marketplace.
Exactly.
So,
It was pretty funny. Yeah. And I just remember, I actually used PayPal because I was 14 at the time. And when I did this in 17, I was a lot older, but I remember trading some kid 600 million gold in the game. And that was $550. He ended up claiming that he never got his packages delivered from PayPal. And he got all of the money back. And I had already traded over my gold in the game. So I should have honestly gotten into crypto earlier.
Yeah. You should have, but that's a thing you don't know. And then what's also really interesting, well, that kind of person could have messed with you anyway, right? Because they could have said, send me the gold first, or then and not that it. But what's interesting is PayPal existed because before PayPal, all you could do was send somebody a check in the mail. And I bought, so this is how old I am. You guys are young, but I bought, when I was 16 years old, I had a car that was kind of got through a friend of my dad's, and we worked together. I got a 1967 Ford Fairlane, and there's a really unique thing that 1967 Ford Fairlanes have. They have these stripes on the bottom that on most of them people paint a stripe or put a decal, because the original ones had these weird aluminum stripes that you can't get anymore. And I bought those aluminum stripes from somebody on eBay. And so, because if you think about this, eBay existed before PayPal, and PayPal basically became a service for fraud on PayPal, because people like me would go, oh, it's $60-something to buy this part plus shipping. I went to a post office, I bought a money order, and a money order, once you the money is gone. It's there's no recourse really. I had to give the money cash at the post office, and then I sent in the mail the money order to the dude on PayPal, and he just never sent me the parts. Right? And what did I do? The money was gone. I maybe could have argued on PayPal something got his account canceled. Maybe I did. I don't really remember, but that's why PayPal exists, right? But the digital version of that is so much easier to defraud people with, right?
Right. Well, and now it's PayPal can do things like set up fines that if they don't like what you say on the internet, they can kick you off.
Well,
PayPal
it didn't quite work out. I don't think that's constitutional, but it's pretty messed up, and who knows if that works. But that's what happens when somebody has the mindset of a monopoly, right? They believe, they still have that mindset, even though it is nowhere near what it was before. Let's keep going though, really quick.
Real quick though,
what is the Dragon Spawn?
We never got to Dragon Spawn. We got to crypto intro. But anyways, so I had that digital experience, that kind of metaverse experience, you could say. So that got me that early introduction, got rugged really quickly in 2017 at the top of the bull run. But ended up coming back and kind of just diving into NFTs full force in 2020, some altcoins as well. And kind of clicked with me. I realized, wow, this would be perfect for the gaming world, right? Because these NFTs can act as items that have, IDs tied to them, and then crypto can act as the currency in the games. So thankfully, found these awesome guys, got connected with them. Now Dragon Spawn, essentially what it is it's a blockchain-based arcade ecosystem. And we're also could be developing our own metaverse in the future. We have the IP for that. But basically kind of had the epiphany to go more towards that mobile gaming route, because one of our goals is mass adoption, right? That's everyone's goal in crypto. We want to be onboarding these Web2 users. So, kind of tying in the name service, right? You can log in on your phone, username, password, but on the back end, it's creating a wire wallet, onboarding users into this Web3 experience without them really realizing it. So kind of our goal right now is just to package a really simple, fun, addicting game, but have real complex sound infrastructure on the back end. There'll be multiple games released in the ecosystem, kind of all connected by different tokenomic structures. Well, by one major tokenomic structure, but you kind of get the idea. So we're just kind of looking to onboard that next Web 2 mass flow of new users just through simple, fun, addicting games, repackaged in a Web 3 environment. So that's what Dragon Spawn is.
That's awesome. Are you going to get a tennis game in there eventually?
Yeah, right. Who knows? We can do whatever we want. And that's also the thing too. We're going to let the community kind of vote where we move forward, what we start developing next. Our first game,
are you guys creating all the games, or is it in like an open network for anyone who wants to build a game can come and tie in?
Right now it's all in-house. We have a game development studio that we've partnered with, but that's definitely something we could be open to in the future. For sure.
That's really cool. Very cool. Kevin, I know you've been on here before, and so have you, Greg, but I still want you to give your background and talk about what Stable Tech is doing, especially in the from the angle of interoperability. And then
my background is Tezos.
I like that.
I've been a part of the Tezos ecosystem, actively like doing stuff with it since 2018, but I was part of the 2017 crowd sale. I found it just independently, so had no connection with any kind of founding team or the foundation or anything like that. And I was really interested in, from the very beginning, in doing DeFi because I looked at just the trends in technology and seeing, okay, with every shift, finance tends to tackle it first. It just seemed like it's the next wave. And so I'm looking into the technologies, they just got more and more interesting, and I got more and more excited over time. Besides just doing Tezos LA, which is the first thing I did in the ecosystem, I started making DeFi stuff. So first we built USD Tez, and that is the first stablecoin on Tezos, first USD stablecoin, and first reserve backed as well. Of the fiat families, there was TZBTC. They were the only ones that came before. And then we followed that up with ETH Tez, so the first wrapped ETH version of anything on Tezos. And then we had BTC Tez, which is an FA2 version of a wrapped Tez, a wrapped Bitcoin on Tezos. We also made TezX, which was the first cross-chain bridge between Ethereum and Tezos, and decentralized, allowing people to swap peer-to-peer. Alon gave the first ceremonial swapping of that.
Ceremonial. It was very meaningful, and it was first. I was the first person to make a cross-chain transaction from Ethereum to Tezos, right? Or did you guys test it before I did it? Well, I feel like it was the first one after testnet, right?
Yeah, no, that was like the first one.
First. It wasn't like you moved it from testnet, checked that it worked, then we call Alon. It was like late at night, like you were like waiting on me, and I was like, I hopped in, the whole cryptonomic team I think was on there and stuff. It was pretty rad.
Yeah.
Do we have it recorded?
If there was one before, like if we did a test one before, then that was just like to oneself. It wasn't like a person doing it. So, I'm not a human. So it's one of us.
Now I'm going to have to go look at the blockchain records and stuff, because I can't keep yelling first if it was ceremonial and not really the real first. Like, I don't want to be.
That was first, because I remember when we did TezFin, which is the thing, our most recent creation. It's under security audit now, and that was the first lending system like Compound or Aave on Tezos. So, but that one, I know you weren't the first. You were the ceremonial first. We had to like,
that's
cool.
It
wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, like,
but it's like getting an honorary doctorate. There's real people who actually did the work, right? And then you're just like a person who shook the hand of the dude, right?
But
like,
also, you wouldn't be able to borrow and do that unless somebody else put money in first. So it wouldn't have even. So you had to be the first borrower.
Well, you had to provided.
Well, they would have had to put all the electrodes in you, and the logging and all the stuff. Yeah. Like, if you're really going to run the first one, then you got to practically be in the lab.
I try to get as close to the lab as possible, but they don't always let me in. But yeah, so Kevin, finish up. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Yeah. Oh, so that's all the layer 1 primitive stuff. You got the exchange with TezX, and we're rolling out with like a new TezX pretty soon, which is going to be more of an aggregator of the dexes that are on Tezos, focused on liquidity. And then we're going to have expanded uses of TezFin. After we get through the security audit, we can finally start to scale it. Very excited for that. And you got the reserve-backed stablecoins. So that's kind of the recipe. That's like your food coloring kit to get things going. And then you scale it up, and then you can build out a whole world of derivatives, which ultimately, like in terms of like cash and normal like prime capital markets, we're talking $100 trillion. But when you get into derivatives, it's 400 quadrillion. So that's a massive, massive market. So we couldn't get the carriage before the horse. So we've been building the horse, and now let's get to the carriage. So yeah, it's a very exciting time, and this is also coming at a very interesting time for Tezos, because the Mumbai upgrade will be coming by the end of this month. That's the way it appears, and because it just got supermajority, I believe, on in terms of the vote on the on-chain governance of Tezos, so it passed. It still needs quorum though, so we'll get through the promotion phase, and then 2 weeks of adoption. And from there, we're going to have a true ability to do much of the interoperability activities that people have been calling for a very long time. So whether it's like EVM, so that's especially including EVM, or other,
I wanted to jump into that definitely in this conversation, because I think you and I had a conversation about it. Was that earlier today or yesterday? We talked about it, but I talked to some other Tezos friends. It's just these days just keep going.
Kevin's like, "Are you cheating on me, Alon?"
I know.
I am. I talked to
other Tezos friends. Do they have a Tezos backdrop?
Probably not.
No, you know what? They didn't, but they are.
Well, you ought to know.
Kevin is the only one with a Tezos background on this stream right now.
For now.
No, but I was talking to some other Tezos friends. We were talking about EVM, and I got super excited, and that's why I want to talk to you about it earlier. But I bet you either a lot of the Tezos community, also different time zones around the world, like we had on our call, Kevin, when we talked about this. I'm gonna potentially do like a separate live stream just to learn about this on Tezos, because in the community chat, we had some friends already mention and talk about Tezos EVM also. So we got to talk about it. But speaking about EVM, and then let's let Greg give his background and what Rivet does as well. You guys power some EVMs and of course Ethereum. So give me the background.
Okay, so taking out the early 2000s, because I don't want to be too long-winded. I graduated law school 2010, hated practicing law, dropped out of that, did a punk rock band for a while called the Mail Order Brides, learned marketing through that. Then I started working for a company where I got
the name. Now I have to do the Google search.
You won't find it
on the internet.
Yeah, you probably won't find it. They've taken down most of it now. It was really too offensive. But
that makes it even more exciting.
No, it's
dang.
Send off the internet sleuths.
All the details is going to be awesome.
So did that for about a year or so, which was really fun. But then I started working for a company called Propylon, where I met Austin. And basically we built the, me and Beth and Austin, my two other co-founders, built the Indiana legislature's voting systems for their House and Senate. And we did that in 6 months, and we built 2 versions of it. And it was absurd. We should not have been doing anything like that in that time frame. And so we realized through doing that together that we could build whatever we wanted, right? And we thought, why not go build something for ourselves? So after we were done with that, Ethereum had just sort of launched its white paper, and we were sort of watching it to see where things went. And we ended up first building a 0x relayer called Open Relay that was sort of like a back-end order book infrastructure for developers. And we learned a lot about basically how if you don't have a deal with liquidity providers at that time, right, then you weren't playing the game right. So So we sort of shifted from there because we built this awesome microservices-based infrastructure for our system and spent a good long time building out sort of a streaming replication-based Ethereum node infrastructure that was really, really operationally manageable. And that's what we built Rivet to sort of build on that idea. All of it's open source. We've been sort of open source from conception, and we've just kind of continued to iterate on it. We launched Cardinal early last year, and just added Polygon Network sort of out. It's not out of beta yet, but it's functionally out of beta because when they had that big chain split or the big block reorg that took down most everybody, we were the first ones back up. And so we sort of had to tell people, because we were on the Discord saying, hey, like, we figured out what was going on and we solved it. So nobody panic. If you need to come over to Rivet, that's great. But for what it's worth, this was not the network; it was infrastructure related. So so Rivet's really all about just bringing an open source alternative to the ecosystem, so that people who want to build infrastructure don't have to build, dependent upon the Infiras and the Alchemies of the world.
Which, by the way, just to give Rivet some extra love, hold on, I have it open in another window. But I have I found this cool website. I think you guys may have shared it with me. Actually, I'm 99% sure you shared it with me, Greg. Full disclosure. But what's really cool about this website? Here it is. Sorry, I closed these windows so that StreamYard doesn't explode because of all the tabs I have. There's a website called ethereumnodes.com, and it's really cool because they rank all of the node providers, and Rivet is always the first or second one on that list in terms of performance time and speed. Like probably 30% faster than Infura or the nearest competitor. And I think that what's cool about that is, speed is just one metric, but usually if you perform better there, you're probably performing better in many other aspects. So,
caveat there real fast is a lot of the latency has to do with over the wire distance. So depending on where David Mihal, shout out to the guy behind the machine that you're pointed towards there, wherever he cited his servers is going to make a big difference in latency.
Well, you guys have, right? Yeah, but you guys have a distributed network that has data centers in multiple places around the world.
That's true.
Make sure that if you're in India or you're in Los Angeles, you get routed to a network that's closer to you. So that's still important, right?
And we do optimize.
I like that.
So I just wanted to
by the way, I will tell you that this is why I love Greg and I love the Rivet team. They're like they are like my go-to guys when I want to ask any technical questions at all. And they're like the most humble people in the world, and they won't even allow you to compliment them without like giving love to the rest of the community, which is another reason why they're awesome. So
thank you.
I wanted to jump. Yeah, did I interrupt? Is there any more on the Rivet side? I think we.
Other than the fact that I'm excited to talk to everybody here about interoperability, because it's just such a neat topic in the sense that there's a lot of nuance to it. Like, depending on how you look at it, interoperability can mean a lot of different stuff. And there are right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. And I think it's one that people need to know more about.
I think, and from my perspective, we could probably go real deep into any specific topic, right? Like we can talk about Wire and UPAP, and we could talk about EVM compatibility and what Tezos is doing. And I do want to dive into some of that, but to me, from the standpoint of not person that goes into GitHub and breaks things, because I'm really good at breaking things, but not great at building things from scratch. I want to think about it from the perspective of the don't make it. Don't make anything. Ben just mentioned in the chat, this is important. Don't make any of your products interoperable with Solana so that they can unload their fake Solana BTC into your network, please. That's a great comment, Ben. But where I'm going is for the average user, I think the greatest and best thing about the blockchain space when you compare it to traditional banks, right? We kind of mentioned banks earlier, and some folks in the chat were saying things about banks. When you compare blockchain to traditional banks, right, there's no PayPal terms of service that stops you from using anything or participating in anything. And that's one of the benefits and the great things about it. It's agnostic, right? It's cash on the internet. Better than cash, because if somebody does do something really offensive and terrible and against the law, it's easier to find the person who uses
it's true.
Versus
in its ideal form, it's just like Alon said.
So, but where I'm about to go is that from the consumer perspective, the best thing in the world is the sort of openness, and the best thing you could do for a consumer is to make things as open as possible. And anyone who's building in the space that believes that product is superior to other products in the space should be completely wide open to being interoperable and create bridges, because those bridges, if you have a better product, will bring more people, then will allow more people to leave. I think it's a really outdated and dumb approach to have, walled gardens and things like that, because those are the things we absolutely hate about traditional finance.
Right. Well, I mean, and more often than not, they restrict your users in a way that makes them less likely to be used, right? Like if you don't
if you know you can leave anytime, it makes it more enticing to come join. And if you join and the product's good, you won't leave. It's simple as that. So to me, that's how I want to look at the interoperability side of things. And we could jump into the specifics of details, but I want to get your guys' perspective on some of that. What's your definition, of interoperability? Do you want to get into the nitty gritty? Like, maybe we start with Wire Network because you're building sort of an interoperable protocol or product that's meant for interoperability from the beginning. But is that how you kind of see it, or do you see it more from a perspective of simplicity, or is it both?
It is both. In the way that I like to frame it is if you look at the traditional financial market, and this is how we've done, our interoperability, is the form factor is actually the same. You have all of these international stock exchanges across the world, right? And depending on where you as a company IPO, which is where it's kind of like the chain. If we're doing like a Web 2 to Web 3, if you pick what exchange that you want to IPO on, that's essentially what chain that you decide to launch your product on. And there is multiple exchanges across the world. There's the Hang Seng, there's the Nikkei, there's the Nasdaq, there's the New York, on and on and on. Yeah. And so that, if you look at what the world market, the financial assets of the world are all interoperable. How does that happen? And it's because you have the exchanges across the world, wherever they are. And then on the front end, you have retail applications. You have your Fidelity, your Schwab's, anything like that. And in the middle, you have what makes all the magic happen is it all routes through a holding company called DTCC, or there's a few of those companies that are holding companies. And so you, on the Schwab or Fidelity, when you own Apple or Tesla or whatever it is, you don't actually own the stock. You are the beneficiary of the stock. DTC holds the actual ownership. Now, you can go through the whole process and actually take ownership, but it's lengthy and it's costly, and most people don't do it. And so we looked at, how do you take that form factor, which is you have all the, let's take it to Web3. You have all of these different chains, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, Tezos, you name it. And then you have the application, the retail application layer, which is the wallet, right? And that's what everyone on the retail level holds. And so you need to create a trustless, decentralized form factor that mimics, what has already been used in the real world, which is a centralized version. And so that's what we've used for interoperability, is a decentralized, trustless framework that mimics what happens in the real world, and that is able to unite all chains. So once you do that on the front retail level, which is essentially your wallet, which is now your profile, your rewards, your wallet, everything all in one. Now you can interact with any chain, L1 or L2, and you can participate in all of the applications and retail products that each chain allows.
Ken, how would you compare it to like Interledger Protocol or Cosmos SDK, or like some of the stuff that that you get through Polkadot?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differentiators is that we're bridgeless. Our interoperability is no bridging, no oracles. It's just one smooth layer. Think of it, it's really like an overlay. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like we've seen the bridging. We knew ahead of time that there was vulnerability there. And so that was a non-starter for us. It's like we had to build something that didn't have a bridge. And essentially the bridging is like the attack vector. The oracle is the scaling and cost issue. So we had to take both of those out of the equation. And so essentially what we have is, I'd call it like an overlay over all the L1s and L2s that are currently out there.
It's like maybe a parachain or something like that.
Yeah. If you want
to, not really. Okay.
We're abstracting ownership. So we keep all assets on their native chain and abstract ownership into one layer that allows you to move these assets, across chain securely, which is a big part of it. And as far as like the mass adoption play, the retail user, you're not going to experience anything that would smack you in the face from like a MetaMask perspective or a wallet, where it's like you have to keep signing transactions, or you have to switch chains if you're dealing with that. Everything has to be a smooth UI, and that's where you see in Web 2, which is you don't know how Venmo works, you don't know how Zelle works, you don't know how Twitter works, you don't know what they're built on, but it all works, and so no one cares. And the only reason that we say things in blockchain, like, oh, it's the X, but built on blockchain, you say that almost like a defense mechanism, where it's like, prepare yourself, you're about to deal with some stuff that you normally don't deal with. We have to create that UI, that we have to engineer that UI that allows all the great things about blockchain to happen, but it's not smacking the user in the face, and that's what we've been able to do.
Right. Kevin, were you gonna say something?
Yeah. About the term bridging changed over time, over the last 3 years. It used to mean like as you mean it, where you can interoperate assets that are native to certain chains, but like you're doing something with both chains and they're actively involved. Now it means you wrap an asset. Bridging is wrapping, like just hijack the name bridge, and it's used for. So yeah, because when we launched TezX Bridge, it didn't mean wrapping. Now, like I'd probably name it something else if we started.
What is it? But what's the difference from a technical perspective, right? Like when I get a wrapped token, right? If I get wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum or wrapped Ethereum on Tezos, is there something that happens that's different? I assume it's a kind of like a receipt for an ETH or a BTC that's in a contract somewhere that when I send it back, I can get it back, right?
Like your alias version, or like your avatar. It's not it's not the thing. It's the thing that represents the thing. And for all intents and purposes, you can accept that this is just as good as that other thing, because no one can take the underlying asset out unless they return this, and you have this, so therefore you have that thing
as well.
Because and in the end, I mean, you don't really have an asset unless you use like tickets. This is not a plug for tickets on Tezos, but that is a good. I think it was actually Libra or Diem that started the concept. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me. But yeah, like you're just
want to know something really.
NFT, like it's something like it's just a line in a contract that says, "Yep, this is you," but like you don't control that contract. I mean, but like with assets, you kind of want to have that asset just to have it like a thing, like you'd have cash and hold on to it. And that's ultimately, as opposed to necessarily having to forever trust that these two systems would be there. I think a lot of like when I hear about the thing, it's weird how now like these chains are trying to get projects to migrate over and paying them a lot of money to do it. D-Gods and Utes and whatever. There was some, I don't know where it initially landed, but they said like or eventually landed, but they said they were going to migrate to a different chain. And it's like, well, you can't do that. You're always going to have to be on the original one. The best you could do is wrap it. There's no, and you're going to have, and it's like, people are like, oh, well, that's good because maybe the old chain's not going to be around anymore. It's like, well, you're only going to have a wrapped version. So if that's the case, then your underlying asset is gone.
Right.
So that's the way it is.
And then there's the risk of, right, like if you get too crazy with the bridges and too fancy with the spices there, right, you end up bridging between chains where like maybe one of those chains it's super easy to pull off a 51% attack on and revert the original lockup. Like if you lock up or wrap your asset over there and then, someone with enough compute and enough knowledge comes over and erases that lockup after you've already locked it, your bridge is hosed, right? Like your wrapped asset already has its underlying asset gone.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that these are intellectual arguments for really neat concepts and ideas that we live in today because we are way early in this world where 99% of people in the next version, and I'm trying to make it a segue towards like Dragon Spawn and gaming to like, think about my kids on Roblox and things like that, right? But are these like really cool intellectual arguments that we're going to solve for? And really in the actual consumer versions where 99% of the world will live in the future, is this even going to be a thing? Because I know that the rivets of the world will exist to fix that to save the day from the 51% attack. I know that's happened. You guys have done that before with certain blockchains that you guys.
We helped ETC implement the modified exponential selective scoring thing that got them out of the 51% attack zone because it just like upped by an absurd degree the amount of compute it would take to build a separate chain off chain and then dump it all at once. But that was kind of a weird case. I think that really, some of these are academic debates and some of them are really fun and interesting to us because we're like the people who were sitting at the roots of TCP/IP and sitting at the roots of the various email protocols, right? And going like, this is neat, this is amazing, right? We love this stuff. But at the same time, if we get it wrong, then we're going to need Web 4. And we definitely want to build a system that doesn't have that need, right?
It's necessary, Greg. We're creating the standards. Like if you think about, like Alon, you said that you're older than all of us, not by much. And I remember a day before PayPal where there was no way I was putting my credit card online to buy anything. You couldn't buy anything, right?
No, that's the thing that I try to tell people. Like, okay, and I want you to continue this thing, but just remember. Before PayPal, there was this moment of time where the idea of selling books on the internet, like, oh my God, are you crazy? You're gonna put your credit card on the internet to buy a $10 book? Like, you're nuts. The internet is not a place to buy something. Like, that's stupid. Like we went from that to when I quit my day job in 2012, the day job I had was at IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, which is owned by Amazon, which I was a part of a group that was building something called IMDb Theaters. That was what became Amazon Video on Demand later, and what we just see today as just streaming on Amazon or whatever. But in 2012, at that time, when Steven Spielberg's production company wanted to submit a movie to a film festival and they had to use this product, they didn't have an internet connection that was fast enough or stable enough to upload a, like 1 gig, 2 gig, 3 gig file. So they had a security card and one of their producers come to our office with the actual computer to upload it to our servers because that's the only way they could do it because their speed just wasn't going to be fast enough to get it in time to that particular film festival they were submitting to. But at that time, every single filmmaker was pissed that the films that those festivals were taking digital films as submissions. This is a work of art. This pixelated piece of shit on a laptop, like this is art. Like this is like you can't have compressed digital video. And we went from that. That was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, a filmmaker thought it was disgusting to put their film on the internet.
And you still see that, right? Like you
Today,
absolutely still see
where
that.
They're out of business if they don't put their film on the internet. Like, so like that happened in 10 years. And the 10 years before that, we didn't even trust to pay $9 for something on the internet, right? And so now, like, just how fast the cycle is churning and how important the user experience is. Okay, Ken, sorry, I just got excited.
No, it's great. I mean, before 2012, like what you're talking about,
yeah,
it was like buying the worst crypto rug project, like in space. Like you just knew that you might buy a $10 item, but you might get fleeced for $1,000 out of your bank account.
It's like going to a really shady restaurant-y place and handing them your credit card and going like, oh, I got to look at my statement after this. Like you just feel like somebody's writing down the number in the back.
And so what was needed? You needed HTTP, you needed your SSL certificate, you needed to go to Amazon, go to the checkout and have that green lock on your screen that showed, on your Chrome browser that showed that it's safe to do this. And so that's where we're at in the blockchain space is we are creating those standards, those HTTPs, those SSL, we're creating those standards to allow the integrity of the system to be secure enough that everyone feels comfortable, putting their financials online in this realm. And so that's what we're building, that's part of what we're building. We talk about the interoperability and all this other stuff, but there's a lot of infrastructure on the back end that allows that to happen. And collectively, we are building that framework for blockchain itself. That's how early we are in the space still.
Well, and humanity's always done this, right? Like the year that the Wright brothers had their Kitty Hawk moment, there was some guy printing in the newspaper that, and in well-regarded newspapers saying stuff like, heavier than air flight, if humans were meant to do that, we would have been born with wings. Or like right before the first rocket made it into, or right before Sputnik went up, there was a guy who was like, rockets will never get out of the Earth's or get into Earth's orbit.
Yeah, well, it's like those Galileo quotes of like how he was considered like a heretic because he's like, I see the Earth's shadow on the moon and it's obviously round, and it's like, oh, you're playing God, bro. Like you are an evil person. You are whatever, and it's like he just points. He's just like, I watch ships go, and you start to see you. Eventually the last thing you see is the sails. Obviously it's going on a slope and water is not flat, like you say these things and people are like, yeah, okay. But that is kind of awesome to think about it.
I mean, the question isn't really if we're going to get there, it's if we get there in a way that we like when we get there. I think.
Well, I'm going to tee up.
There will always be improvements because that's who we are, but the cycles are way faster now.
I'm going to tee up Grayson here. And
I'll
say that everything that we're talking about, like this is all a necessity, but what's going to bring everybody into this space is going to be that something that everyone, a vertical that everyone knows, that they're comfortable with, and that they use on a daily basis. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, it's going to be gaming.
Oh yeah.
And so,
I think that it's gaming, and I'll pump Grayson up and get him stoked even more leading into this. I'd like to see his perspective on how do you completely obfuscate it and not even show anyone anything, maybe not even use the word blockchain or what? I'm interested. Yeah. But I have kids who are Roblox age. And I've talked to, what's funny is I talked to somebody, CEO in the DGH portfolio this week, and his son was home when I talked to him because he's in a different time zone. He's on the other side of the world. I wanted to give him the pep talk of the future is native, right, to our space. Like the kids, like this, all the things we're arguing about, like to them is just totally normal. Right. Like a digital good to them is more real than this sticker. If I told my son, I'm going to give you a Spider-Man t-shirt for your Roblox character, or I'll give you this sticker, he'd take the digital item 100% of the time. Right.
They used to call that dissociative disorder. Now it's the norm.
And now we're the crazy ones. So it flips, right? And it'll flip at a certain point.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm gonna totally start going down that path.
I mean, I think that it's clear that Ken and I talk about this a lot, the user experience. Like, we need to make it as simple as possible to onboard this next wave of users. Like, it doesn't have to be as quick as possible, right? But the more simple that we make it, the faster it's going to happen. So as a user, you don't know the tech stack behind the application that you're using, right? Like, that's something that we're trying to focus on, and just make it as simple as possible to onboard users, right? And I mean, I see, I'm not claiming to be some major expert, but I mean, from being a little bit younger, being in the gaming background, I see it more of our job as to try and get major partnerships. It's our job to provide the fun aspect of it and get them introduced into the utility of kind of like earning. I hate the term play to earn, right? Like,
here's why I wanted to. There's what I wanted to pump you up on. You don't even need to. When you were playing RuneScape, you didn't join because it was. You didn't go to get all that gold or whatever and log into the game for the first time because somebody went to you and was like, "Hey, Grayson, you want to make $500 selling 100 bazillion dingle boppers on the internet?" Nobody told you that. That's not why you play. And my son and my daughter didn't join Roblox and start playing Pet Simulator X because they thought they would make money doing it. They did it because they went to the game system that they loved, right? It's like for us, the older ones amongst us, maybe not you, Grayson, getting a Nintendo or
no, that's where I started. My grandma introduced me to the original Nintendo. I was playing Duck Hunter and Mario.
That's right. You're playing Duck Hunt, and nobody went like, "Hey, bro, you know, if you get third place in Duck Hunt, you'll get a Dookie Dash pass, and it's going to be worth $9,000, right?" Like, nobody told you that, and that's not why you played. But this is the thing. When I talked to my friend who's in Israel, and his son was home, I call his son. I literally was like, "Hey, bring your son back to the screen. Bring your son back to the screen." I was like, "Dude, do you play Roblox?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What's your favorite game?" He started telling me some games. I was like, "You ever play Pet Simulator X?" And he's like, "Oh, all the time." And he's like, eyes lit up. And I was like, and I did the math. I was like, 7 p.m. on Saturday nights, you do Roblox, right? And he's like, "That's when the Pet Simulator X update is." And he starts like going nuts in English. He was saying in Hebrew to his dad. And his dad's like, "That's why you freak out every Saturday night and you want to play Roblox because of this update for this game?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was explaining to his dad, and this is something I only learned the last few weeks. I've probably brought it up every week on Blockchain and Brews since, because it's like so mind-blowing to me when we think about Web3 gaming and how insanely early it is. But when I joined the first week I joined with my kids, they're telling me we got to do this thing. And I was like, I want to actually join. And I have a Roblox account because I've joined them a few times and I like want to see like a game. Because I remember one parent wasn't allowing one of the kids in the group of kids that play together to play a certain game. So I was like, why? Like, I don't know.
It's a good game when that happens.
So I wanted to go in and check it. And since then, I play every once in a while. And every once in a while, I'll play at night because like my excuse is that I want to level up to show my kids. But really, these games are good. I'm like no longer make excuses for it. Like I love some of these Roblox games and they're legit. But the thing that's crazy is when my son asked me to join that game, I joined. And when I joined, like half an hour before the update, there was like 600 and something thousand concurrent users of this single game. And I was like, there's 600,000 people playing this game. And then as we got closer to the update, because and here's the thing, all of the crypto mechanics we know and love exist in this game. They're joining the game because if they're online during an update and a few minutes before and a few minutes after, they get an airdrop, they get an egg. That egg hatches into a pet. That pet can be used to mine more shit, to get more points, to then buy more eggs. And like, it's all of the things. And then they can go to the trading square and swap with their friends. I got this pet, you want to trade me that pet? Or I got this many diamonds, will you trade it for this pet? All of the crypto mechanics that we know and love exist in this game without the word crypto, right?
Right.
And what's crazy is I left the game and came back in during the update because I wanted to see how many users were at peak. It was over 1 million concurrent users. And
that's awesome.
And then the next week I went to do it again because my mind was blown and Roblox was not working well. And I go on Twitter to check if Roblox is working and everyone is freaking out saying, like, fuck Pet Simulator.
All the 7-year-olds.
All the 7-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, the 13-year-olds are pissed off because Pet Simulator X, in their mind, makes Roblox unusable on Saturday mornings because Roblox is hitting their capacity. Wow. And I'm like looking at that going, 1 million users, it makes sense. There's 1 million people on there. But then that Saturday, the reason Roblox went down is because there was another game that happened to have an update at the same time. This game has one every Saturday. And like the people who don't like this game hate, like they blame this game for Roblox's capacity issues. But
sounds like they need some read optimization, frankly.
They do. They've since fixed it because in the last few Saturdays there hasn't been any problems. But that weekend, another game had an update, and they had about 1 million concurrent users. But then I looked, all of Roblox hit an all-time high that particular weekend of like over 10 million concurrent users. And then I started going, how many people play Roblox a week? And then I realized it's like close to 50 million. Mm-hmm. And I started comparing that to other places. I was like, oh, a regular season NFL weekend has less concurrent people watch or less individual users watching than Roblox has every single week. And every game, whether it is, more intricate like a Pet Simulator X, or there's even more intricate games there, or there's literally a game where you jump in, everyone is hanging around a town square, and there's a giant jar in the middle, like a jar that's like 10 times the size of the people, right? Like the size of a house if we were real life people. And that jar fills up with random things. And then you have like 5 seconds to guess how many things are in there. And the person who guesses the closest wins. Dude. And it seems like the most ridiculous game for developers.
That'd be so fun.
It took 30 minutes for the developers to make, but every once in a while I pop in the room, I look, and my kids are sitting there for like 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time.
Dude.
Yes, right? But they literally, it's casual, simple games. Boom.
Or you're doing this.
Huh.
No,
right.
Flappy Bird or whatever, right?
This is Flappy Dragon.
Flappy Dragon, I'm sorry.
No, but
fantastic. By the way, I like the parallax effect.
Yes, of course.
No, things are
That's
fun.
the whole thing. Is where I want to get at is I look at my kids and I use them as an example all the time, and I go poo-poo.eth, because that's my son or whatever. And everyone goes like, oh, that's crazy. Your son is like so advanced. He listened to you talk about crypto and this, that. Like there's 50 million other versions of him every single week playing Roblox. And my son might be advanced in knowing what the word NFT is and having participated in a fucking DAO or whatever it is. But that does not mean that the 50 million other kids aren't at all as meaningful. And plus, they're all growing up, and they're going to graduate from Roblox to realize, oh, if I play this other game, and then I could swap my ape coin from what I earned on the other side playing that one game to buy in and out with my friends.
Yeah, and that's the key, is the interoperability comes into play, right? Right now we're segregating our communities, but the ultimate goal is to make sure that, these tokens that you earned over here in Dragon Spawn also work over here in the other worlds.
Yeah.
And right now we're creating niche little markets, but like in reality, we need interoperability to connect everything into this one big, ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. And we're on blockchain and booze on StreamYard right now. If you want to think about StreamYard as a metaverse, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is I love playing around. I own land, full disclosure, and we've talked about this in our resident expert. My brain is dying right now. But David Rankin, he is our metaverse expert. He's played in all the metaverses, and he always gives us updates on which ones and this and that. And I have Sandbox Land, and I have Decentraland Land, and I've got TZ1 Land or TZ Land. It's like the one.
Did you pick Alon? Did you get any network land?
Not yet. I don't think.
Alon,
network's cheap right now.
I'm going to tell something about you that I want the stream to know.
Ooh.
So my initial meeting with Alon was at the DGH Blockchain Summit here a few months ago. And then we jumped on a call because my CTO and I wanted to tell Alon, what we've done in the space, what we're doing. And during the call, I'm expecting this professional, just like really like strict like view of the space. And Alon starts opening up, and he's just talking about like the most degen shit.
But that's the thing is, that's what's nuts about this is, it sounds degen, but I don't trade. When I bought my Decentraland land, I went overboard and I haven't even looked and tried to swap it or trade it or do anything. And when I think degen, I think like gambling, right? Because also, by the way, DGH made an investment back in the day, full disclosure, in a company called Degens, which was one of the first smart contract based sports betting, peer-to-peer sports betting product. And they own degens.com, which is kind of awesome. That's the first time
with a Z or an S.
Before the Degens with an S, just spelled like Degens. And it's pretty cool. MG Land Coop is sharing in the chat too. But what I want to say is I go kind of goofy, but to me, the type of person that I am, I cannot make an investment or participate in the space unless I actually participate in the space. I can't read a white paper and be like, oh, this is really, really smart and wonderful. It's like, to me, that's the same as reading a textbook and going, well, I understand law because I read the law textbook. That, to me, that's not how I learn. So, and then I also get excited and I want to throw out these ideas. And to me, this is why, I loved hanging out with Ken, because I throw out all these crazy ideas and things. And he'd have good answers to them. And a lot of people don't always have answers. And then you kind of very quickly know, like, oh, this is vaporware. They're just launching a token because it's like, that's what you do when you want to make money, is there's free money from the sky because I can launch a token, right? Like, you start to separate who the real people are from the things. And I'm just always myself and I can't help it. So, but
I'll take it full circle. It was such a respect that I gained from you during that call, because I'm assuming a certain, verbiage or table of contents that we're going to talk about. And the fact that you even knew about things that we were the topics of conversation, it was like, okay, like I can actually have a real conversation with this person because he understands full spectrum of what the space, is currently providing.
I may have given you this analogy, and I've told some people this before, but there was a buddy of mine, and I really like this guy. He has very interesting thoughts and stuff, and I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I respect him because he was an early Bitcoiner and he does some things, but some of the things obviously I think are hypocritical, but like, who amongst us isn't a hypocrite when you turn your head and you stand on the other side of an argument, right? But and I like this guy. Like he will dish it as well as he can take it. So I like this guy a lot. So I'm not going to mention him, but he talked a lot of shit about DeFi for a long time, a lot. And then a few months ago, maybe now it's a year ago, but we've been in the space for many, many years together. He posted something on Twitter like, just installed MetaMask for the first time. What a crappy user experience or something. I'm like, you've been talking shit about DeFi for how many years? And this is the first time you installed MetaMask?
What are you using?
Now your opinion no longer matters on everything. And I got so pissed at him because it's not like,
I
can't
you got to try it. You'd be like not using a smartphone and be like, I'm sticking with my Nokia, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a weapon as well.
What was that, Grayson?
I said the Nokia, it's a weapon as well. It's indestructible.
Yeah, that's
those are those bricks.
Built-in security system.
Yeah.
Grayson.
Just to tack on.
I'm gonna double down on the old analogy, just for a moment. Grayson, I've jumped into swimming pools multiple times with beepers on in my board shorts and ruined.
You are old.
That's epic.
I was skateboarding around the neighborhood with a beeper in my board shorts, got to the swimming pool, jumped in, and ruined multiple beepers.
Do you still even use those? Is there is someone running a protocol where you can still plug them into a network?
Dude, that would actually be really fun to get like weird blockchain alerts to a beeper.
It'd be
Does
retro.
Beep 199 still exist? It was cheaper to get a new phone number than it was to buy a beeper, because there was a service called Beep 199 back in the day. So $24 you would pay for a year of service. They'd give you a free beeper with it.
Dude, I want a beeper that is also integrated with a hardware wallet now.
Beeper, just BEPR.
Yep,
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Beeper or BPR. No, it has to have multiple B's.
Or just beep with 3 E's.
Ooh, beeper, B3PR.
.eth, getting it now.
Okay, you guys heard it first here.
We're starting a company right now, and we didn't get to I wanted to kind of jump into Tezos and the EVM stuff, but we're already now 18 minutes over, and I got a knock on the door from my daughter who was telling me it's dinner time in my house.
It's Roblox
But I want to
time.
tell everyone before we do a round of let everyone give a plug to where they are, and we definitely have to do this again. If you are watching on one of the streams, go to blockchainbooze.io. It'll redirect you, so you'll see the URL change to dgh.events, but it will dang Coop, yeah, and the ERC wallets. We didn't get to get too deep on those, but I think we're gonna have to go back into some of this. But come join backstage. Anybody who does turn on their camera, I'll probably come back online after dinner, but there's a good crew back there if you want to talk some of this stuff. But why don't we go the other direction this time? Kevin, we didn't get to talk about the Tezos L2s very much and the EVM compatibility, so we might have to. We did talk about doing a
It's
separate.
fine. It's so early at this point. Like, it's exciting news, but like this is the groundwork. So it's like by the end of the month, we'll be capable of these things, and then we'll see a lot of development. It's really the optimistic rollups, which we'll start to see roll out first. No pun intended. But it's the layer 2 stuff that's going to take a bit longer. As I think the focus for the core development firms, they've been moving towards getting the optimistic rollup. So, which means we're not talking about like big networks of stuff, like a layer 2 type situation that's in the immediate future, but instead you could see a lot of diversity and interesting use cases with the interoperability of really nodes that can talk to the Tezos network to give information of stuff that's not native to it. Seems so simple, but it's so something that we've needed for quite some time. And I'm excited. There are things we can do on our front, on even StableTech's front, even just using that stuff that I've imagined for many years, but we hadn't had the capability for. Now it's like, oh, we can take these things to the next level.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we'll have a separate conversation all about that.
Yeah,
stuff.
we're going to have a separate Tezos talk soon. I think it'll be pretty fun. But let's, Kevin, give everyone where's the best place to follow you individually or just StableTech in general, so people can get the update on when Tezfin and all the things launch.
Sure. You could go to my Twitter at Mehrabi, and from there, or you can go to the @StableTech or stable.tech. And then you'll see kind of like a gateway to like all the different products like Tezfin. You go to @Tezos Finance or go to Tezos.finance for Tezfin. That's the first Tezos lending system. So we're in the middle of security audit right now. Once that finishes up, we can pull that trigger and let everybody know so that we can start seeing the scaling of capital. And you can see StableTez as well, StableTez.com, USDTZ.com. And TezX, you can also see @Tezos Exchange on Twitter or TezX.io. But the big updates will come the next few weeks for that. So
that'll be awesome. Greg, Greg changed his stuff there to it. That was pretty
That's where you can follow me. Although I highly recommend following Design Heretic on den.social, which is another platform that is another group that is kind of going with the let's do blockchain related things without exposing users to it. So and Ken and Grayson, I recommend you guys talk to those guys because they're right up your alley. I mean, even with the dragon stuff. So
nice.
We'll have to get a conversation going there. But
sure.
I just wanted to say that what Rivet's up to right now is primarily focused on decentralizing the infrastructure. We've open sourced the software. Our goal now is to bring infrastructure itself to an open protocol type of marketplace. And we're not going to be doing any kind of weird tokeny stuff or anything like that. Like the game is to get infrastructure away from one cloud provider, one place where someone can surround it with guns and tell them to take down the thing they don't approve of, because that's the world we need to avoid, and that's what we're all trying to do here. So I guess if you guys want to build something, who are listening today, right? Like games like Dragon Spawn Arcade are gonna be the thing that you build, right? Like it's the new flashlight app, it's the new freaking Flappy Bird. if you want to do that and you want to build easily, Rivet's here to help you build. So take those ideas, make them reality, and that's, let's get 1 billion people building.
By the way, a cool first step, and this is not, as far as I know, this is probably like a lost leader for Rivet, because you'll never get past their free tier doing this. If you want to upgrade your MetaMask, I'll try to remember to reshare it, but I posted on Twitter like years ago, like an easy thing you could do to enable a better user experience in this world, for lots of reasons, is literally just change your RPC address in MetaMask to point to Rivet instead of what's by default on MetaMask, and everything will work better, and you'll have a little bit more privacy. Your terms of service will have a better privacy policy and all that fun stuff too, because you'll go to Rivet instead.
And if you're our friends from Russia or another country that got geo-fenced, or you want to use Tornado Cash, then we'll actually still let you do that, because there's Section 230, and it actually makes it so you can publish an unaltered API just like we do. So
that's pretty radical. So Rivet.cloud, right? So, and now Grayson, I just realized that I can play Flappy Dragon.
Yes.
So I closed that. I didn't close the tab. I just moved away from that tab because I was following you on Twitter and then clicked that link and got excited. So follow you on Twitter. And then where else can we follow you? Is that the best place?
Yeah, right now, just follow us on Twitter at PlayDragonSpawn. So we're in final development stages for the mobile version. So the link that you were just playing is just the alpha web-based version, minus all the added functionality. We have an energy mechanic, so you can't just play unlimited times. Well, you can play unlimited times, but the token distribution will be modified. All the stuff that we were talking about, the gamification. But yeah, basically at PlayDragonSpawn is going to be the main source of information on Twitter. Been a little bit quiet there because we're in development stages still. That'll be changing over the next probably 90 days, I'd say. Dragonspawn.com, pretty much just a landing page right now. But basically, if you go to our Twitter, it has our link tree, has everything there that you need. And then, yeah, basically just keep an eye out. We got a lot of stuff building. We have an NFT project that we just finished on Thursday last week, so a little bit of alpha there. There's been no leaks besides maybe in our Discord. So the link tree also has our Discord as well, so you guys can stop in there. But just expect to see some exciting stuff launch over the next 3 months.
Nice, awesome, very cool. And
I'll just follow you guys, man.
And can Wire blockchain the best place? I noticed you don't you don't use Twitter very often on your personal one.
No, I post on the I kind of follow and post on the main account. So
Okay.
I guess since I'm the final person, I can talk as long as I want. But yeah,
please no.
I'll give a couple alpha here that no one knows is that we are the number one. We were one of the main sponsors for Dripper Going Home.
They were. By the way, if you were at LA Blockchain Summit during both of the networking hours, your drink was paid for by Wire. So
cool.
Everyone owes Wire who was there, multiple drinks.
But we're also the whale sponsor for NFT LA, which is
nice.
Outer Edge.
That's coming soon.
Yeah, March 20th. So we'll be on a panel there. But we also are the tech sponsorship. So we're creating the conference app for the entire
awesome.
event. Yeah.
Neat.
So
Nice.
when you sign up for that app, which will be released probably next week, it'll actually give you name service into Wire Network itself.
Oh crap! I gotta be first because I gotta get Alon.
Yeah.
I actually already took it, but I'm selling it for 5 BTC.
Kevin knows I'm playing hardball. I let mine expire on Tezos, and that guy has been hounding me on Twitter, and I'm like, I'm not negotiating. I gave you a price, and that's it. And he keeps hitting me up and trying to do it, and I'm not. It's pretty awesome. He got Alon.tez from me, and I'm pretty
Wire
sad.
Network may just buy that and then gift it to you.
Ooh,
Say the price goes down by 1 Tez every day you don't accept.
Yeah. That's what I should do. I should build a little, like a very simple web app with a countdown and be like, that's the price, bro. And just like keep linking to it every time he hits me on Twitter. And I'll do the fractional part so it looks like it's constantly moving, So it's like every hour.
You could go on like Object and then make an offer for it and just change and like go down by 1 Tez every day. Just revise the offer.
That would be pretty funny. So it's just getting major FOMO. I should run a script that does it like every 20 minutes to get email alerts or something. But that would be great. But keep going, Ken. And I've got a hard stop in 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, well, I'll take half of that. So our interoperability UPAP will be released here in the spring. And so again, that's going to be an SDK that the entire space can utilize. It's a breakthrough. It really is a breakthrough in what blockchain technology has allowed, and everyone is going to be able to use it. And we are going to unite all blockchains. And so you're not going to need to know what you're built on or what something is built on. You're just going to be able to utilize that and benefit from it. Our blockchain, the last thing I'll say about our blockchain itself is we have reformulated how blockchain, let's call it TPS, is allocated. So if you own a wire node, you're actually able to whitelist your address. Let's say it's an NFT marketplace or anything like that. And you're able to provide your users with free TPS. And so if you take anything that has like an OpenSea or a MetaMask where you have to pay the gas fee, or if you have the same identical thing where you don't have to, as a user, you don't have to pay the gas fee, it's provided to you.
Yeah, by the person who runs your node for that service or whatever.
Exactly. So what are you going to utilize as a user? You're going to utilize the free TPS, and that's what our blockchain has provided. So if you go
radical.
Yep.
And now, we're going to have to talk more about that, and we should do a catch up anyway because getting excited all over again.
Can I real fast do one more plug?
Yeah.
I'm on World Blockchain Roundtable tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central. So it's like an hour and a half long of just like free form conversation.
Post
a lot of different stuff.
Post it on Twitter again, so it's at the top of your feed, so we can all see it, and we can get the link. That'll be awesome.
You guys should come on sometime.
Thank you so much for joining. Oh dang, that's a good one. I finished mine. I got to go join the family for dinner. I really appreciate you guys. We will. We're all gonna catch up some more soon. I'm excited to play some Flappy Dragons tonight, and see you guys soon. Cheers! Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you guys.